So am I'm able to, oh, sorry. Am I able to speak to the audience as well, or?
Yeah.
Okay, never done one of these, so.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for hopping on today. My name is Jackie Cooper, and I'm with the Maryland Blockchain Association. We are recording our conversation and the presentation, so I wanted to let you know that. And we also would like to know a little bit about you, to know a little bit about your background, so that way, as we are presenting the information, we're also able to answer any questions that you have. So, Brian, can you share a little bit, maybe what office you're at or who you're with?
Hi, this is Barb. I'm at Medici Land Governance.
Got it. Okay.
Sorry, I just had to change it from someone else using my computer.
Not a problem. Not a problem. We appreciate. All right, Michelle, how are you doing? And which office are you with?
Hello, my name is Michelle Karzeski, and I am the Clerk of Court for Harford County.
Awesome. Welcome. Welcome. And Tanner, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. I'm a 3L law student with Maryland Law.
Yep. Tanner is working with us and with the Blockchain Legal Institute along with the Maryland Blockchain Association. So we're going to be recording this for the purpose of answering questions about how Medici Land Governance works and how we can actually incorporate blockchain within the land titling area. So again, Christina, if you would like to uh, give a little bit of background about yourself and about Medici, that would be great.
Okay, with Medici Land Governance, and we are an AI blockchain company for land recorders across the United States. We work with court records, vital records, as well as property records.
And how did it get started?
Okay, Medici's history is about 8 years now. We had started a few blockchain projects in Wyoming, Teton County, and Carbon County, and it was a little bit too early 8 years ago to start adopting this type of technology. So we decided to go international, and we worked in developing nations. We've worked in South America. We still have projects running in Africa, and we're a company that's built with empowering people through property rights and giving them access to capital through their property rights. Two-thirds of the world does not have title to their property, so we were trying to assist in that and do it in a more secure fashion than traditional ways of doing paper deeds and things like that, which can get burned up or flooded or other things of that nature.
So I know that we've talked about the fact that there's the potential for fraud within any industry, and by incorporating the technology that you have, it prevents the fraud. From that perspective. Would you like to speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah, correct. So the thing that's been the most rampant or to my view that I've seen at every conference that I've gone to is that title fraud is something that is growing, and it is very difficult to deal with. And it's difficult to the recorders to deal with, and it's difficult for the homeowners to deal with. So the way that we've mixed AI as well as blockchain or token technology together to fight that is we get the homeowner involved in the surveillance of their property records so that they can reject or approve any deed transfer document that might be nefarious business or any type of fraud that might be occurring.
So if, let's say that a county wanted to incorporate, the technology, what's the process? And, what would they have to know, or what kind of steps behind the scenes would they also need to be aware of?
The process would be to integrate our Doc AI product, which will do the indexing and recording pre recording, which would be before the stamp gets officially onto the document. So we can help them do the recordability checks based on the state statutes or the county recording rules that they have. We would help them with the indexing, and we help them with fee calculations and redactions of any personal information on those documents. Because we come first in the loop and I've indexed it with AI, it means I have essentially determined which document this home pertains to, and then we're able through a wallet or a mobile app, send a notification to the homeowner pre-recording to let them know that this document is coming in for processing. And then the homeowner would review that document and say, yes, I'm selling my house. I will approve this. Or no, I'm not selling my house. This looks like fraud. I'm going to flag it. And then in the county system, they would see a little flag on their queue list of recordings that are coming in, and then the county at that time can decide what they want to do with that information.
So prior to that, what structure does the county need to incorporate in order to be able to see this flag?
By structure, do you mean?
Again, what would they have to put in place? You just mentioned about the wallet and also about for the individual, but the flag, where does the flag register at the
That
county?
would be our Doc AI product that they would have to integrate into their county recording system. So we don't replace the county recording systems. We're an integration to the county recording system. And Doc AI is the product that is doing those 4 AI features that I just mentioned.
So in terms of the integration can you share more about the steps of how that might integrate and what they would need to, or any training that they might need to have in order to do the integration?
No, there's not really that much training involved. The clerks will just do their job as they normally do, though we would be telling them now whether or not the document's recordable through the system, and we would do the pre-indexing for them. So they won't actually have to do any of the manual typing in of the information that they used to do. AI is now populating that information for them. They're just reviewing with a high level of accuracy the information that's been indexed.
So it actually saves them time.
It does. So accuracy and speed is kind of another additional benefit that you get from using the Doc AI product, though originally it was built to try to figure out how to fight fraud and get homeowners to be a little bit more engaged in that area.
I know that without getting into the specifics, I'm thinking that this also would save funds for the county as well. Even if they are investing in the integration part, in the long run, it's going to save them from the budget side as well.
Yeah, we actually hope that it will do a twofold. We hope that it will increase revenue back to the county because better data means better access to the public. People are using these records for doing their property transfers and title companies, and many different entities, title companies, lawyers, Redfin, Zillow, they're all getting access to this data. If the county can provide better data, then potentially there's an opportunity for more revenue back to the county.
And what about, from the deed transference side, how does that work? Because again, if once you have one property owner be integrated into this, if they sell their property, what about for the next owner? How does that get communicated to the next owner as well?
If one property owner isn't, well, ideally, we're trying to onboard everyone onto the property wallet. So the other homeowner will also have the wallet, and then the transfer would notify both parties what's going on.
Did you want to show the platform? Perfect.
Yeah, I definitely do. Okay, so let me make sure I'm all set up here. Okay, now I just have to get my Zoom share. Okay, for those that have seen this before, this is our Doc AI product. It's our document intelligence product. This would be your queue. New recordings come in to the queue either through e-recorder or over through the window. When you go to do your review, you can already see that the AI has given you the accuracy level that it has done the indexing at. We'll review the document. The indexing has already been pre-populated, so no one's having to type in this information anymore. It is actually capturing the information from the document, formatting it the way that the county recorders would need it. So sometimes they need last name first, then first name. Sometimes they remove any type of punctuation or things like that. So we deal with all the formatting for them. Legal descriptions, if they are indexed, those are usually take the longest to type in manually. So we're automatically indexing legal descriptions for them. We do a recordability check, which will tell you based on your state statutes or your county recording rules. We use PRIA as well. Whether or not the document can be recorded. If the document doesn't satisfy, I can give you an example. I think there's one back here. If the document does not satisfy, then we will reject the document back to the e-recorder and then provide those rejection reasons back to the e-recorder. Alongside of indexing the required fields, we actually just index the entire document. So you can now search for any word on this document whereas before you were quite limited to just searching by the grantor grantee index or whatever limited fields that the recorders were indexing at that time. Once it's all been indexed and approved, we verify the information, we take the recording fees, send it back to the e-recorder, then search comes next. So the recorder's job is to record and then make available this information to the public. This would be for official records, public information. Before, you would have to search either through grantor, grantee, or selected fields, but now we've captured all the information on the document, so you can just type in anything that you're looking for. So if I'm looking for all of lot 23, I can just look for all of lot 23, and it will pull up that record or all the next best records that we think it is. Alongside this, we also have the full extracted text of the document, so you can search for anything and everything in the document. And we also provide the AI summary of that document, so the general public can get in layman's terms what these documents are all about without needing to understand any type of legal jargon. So I'm actually gonna move over now to, I might have to stop share. Oh, maybe I don't. To our property wallet. So I'll show you this first part of the property wallet so you can see how it all flows together. This would be the anti-fraud component where we're partnered together with the homeowner to monitor the recordings. I think a lot of issues that recorders run into when they see or sense that anything is fraudulent is that if the document meets recording standards, then they're required to record that document, even if they feel that there's any type of fraud that's going on, that it's the law. So right now, we're trying to get the homeowner to participate in that surveillance so that they can say, hey, here's a new transfer document that's coming in. It's coming in for processing. It has not yet been recorded. Do you know about this? And the homeowner will say, yes, I'm selling my house. Or they say, no, I don't know what's going on here. Show me more. And then we'll show them the document information that's to be recorded. And the homeowner can decide at that time if they want to approve or reject this document. If they approve it, then it goes through. There's no issues. Right now, if the homeowner rejects the document, it goes back to the queue, and then we just send a little flag notification to the clerk saying the homeowner has flagged this as fraud. And at that point, the clerk, the recorder, they can decide what they want to do with it. I have a few states that are saying, hey, if the homeowner is the one that's rejecting it, then I'm also going to reject it. But it really depends on the state and what the laws are for what they're going to do. In laws where they're quite particular, no, it must be recorded. They might say, okay, I'm going to send this to the sheriff's office right away for some sort of investigation. Or they might say, okay, I'm just in data collection a period right now. I'm just going to collect every instance where the homeowner is notifying me that this is fraud, and we're going to use it for some much larger plan in the future for tackling this, maybe a change of law or something like that.
No, it's very important because also if, let's say that there is any sort of second mortgage or a lien that ends up getting put on a property, I would think that this also can support having the homeowners understand that something was just put down and in fact it might not be true.
Correct. So you wouldn't be able to, the only thing right now that they can like reject would be a deed transfer document. But if there's a mechanics lien or something like that that's coming onto your property, you couldn't reject it, but you would be notified of it. So
Yeah.
you would be able to see every recording that comes through and you can review what that recording is about. We're anticipating somewhere in the future where we can, there's record checks and things like that, so you can see how clear your title is. But somewhere in the future, we'd like to be able to, through blockchain and token technology, we'd like to be able to put a freeze on that recording. If there is a way to better protect your property, the homeowner should be able to freeze or release any type of documents, and you would do that by tokenizing your ownership. So we would tokenize the ownership, and then there would be, how do you say, there would be smart contracts between each of the homeowners. So if I share my property with you, Jackie, you would have half ownership and I would have half ownership. So you would each have access to the token and you would each have your keys to decide whether or not a transfer is going to occur on that property. But this is all just, how do you say it, like under the surface technology that makes all of this function. You don't really need to learn about tokenization. You don't really need to learn about blockchain. That's just the underlying technology. You'll basically just see an app just like this, and it would say yes, approve, or no, reject. But
Yeah.
it's just done in a more secure way.
It's no different than using our iPhone when we click on the App Store and we download it, not always, thinking about the tech behind the app. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I see a lot of applications that are very consumer friendly, so that can definitely protect the consumer. So this is actually very simple. I mean, really just letting the property owner know that they have the ability to have their deed be recorded like this information wise, and then having an alert happen. And then for the integration into each recorder's office, that's not that difficult, is it? It's just a question of the app integration.
Yeah. So you would integrate with Doc AI. That would be what the recorder's office integrates with. And we also are already integrated with all the e-recorders. So it would be Simplifile, CSC, EPN. And then the wallet, we would just encourage. Right now, I know I work with a lot of counties where they already have a fraud notification list where people have signed up for fraud notifications, but these notifications are usually post recording. So the recording's already happened and will let you know that, hey, this document has been recorded against your property. It's very reactive. At that point, you have to go through the whole legal process to get your property rights back. In this scenario, we do the pre-recording notification, so there is no problems, and you would just be able to stop that recording from happening, and then away you go. You send it to, working with the county right now, that they're working quite closely with the FBI because there's been a really big increase in deed fraud. So they're tracing these records all the way back to the title companies and notaries and whoever's nefarious business. But at this point, it seems like only the homeowner can tell you yes or no whether or not that document is should or should not be recorded.
I would think that this also would support any information that law enforcement also needs if they are trying to support the consumer for filing a claim or that type of thing.
I would say that's entirely possible. Yep. So I can show you one more. So our onboarding process for the wallet, you have to go through a verification process. You'll have to submit documents to make sure that you actually do own this home. We don't just let you sign up with your email address and say, boom, I own this home. So you'd go through, you'd create your account, you'd verify with your, oh, this is a very large screen, which I was hoping to show it a different way. So this would be take a photo of your ID. So this would be your driver's license, the front of your driver's license, the back of your driver's license captured. You continue to do the selfie. So you're doing your biometrics at this point. So you're connecting all of this information to your property. And then, wish I could make this smaller. This is not a very good share screen. I apologize for that. Okay, go to the next page. So we've captured your information. We're going to back up your information. And then you have your properties. Even when you're claiming your properties, there's a twofold. You can do a quick claim to your property. You answer a few quick questions, and then you'll be able to receive the notifications for your property, not unlike how it's done today. You just register and select your property, and then you can get notifications for it. But if you want to do any actions against your property, then you have to go through the full verification process to make sure that you own that. It would be like submitting tax documents or like your closing documents or things like this to prove that you actually do own that property. Yeah, sorry, the screen is not that good.
Let me ask you a question. If it's a trust or someone other than, well, individuals are always involved, but if it's an entity that owns the property, how would they verify that?
Yeah, so we're probably going to be plugged in with the notaries, and then the notaries will then be doing the verification of who the owners are.
No, this is very thorough. So definitely having the KYC is really important. So I would like to open this up to any questions to that Michelle or Tanner or Barb that you might have to kind of expand the information that you've already shared.
Very thorough.
Michelle, do you have any questions, or Tanner?
The only thing I was going to ask is, I know, like at least for Maryland, I'm pretty familiar with the Land Records Index. Would Doc AI replace that, or is that just like a back end index for the recorders?
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear you. So you're familiar with the recording system?
Within
No, like the Maryland Land Records Index, like when you go search for a property in Maryland, would your Doc AI index replace that, or would it be integrated in the back end to help populate or search in the
Right. So the Maryland's a little bit of a different animal, that all of your archives are in the Maryland State Archives. So you go through a centralized search, which is through MSA. But each of the circuit courts are the ones that are actually doing the recording of those records. So we plug into the recording side of things. So it would come before you get to that search, Tanner, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, so the actual search that the consumer would do would be the same. The Doc AI would
it could be the state. I think each circuit court is allowed to provide their own search as well. So if they wanted to make live our search portal, I think that they have the ability to do that.
I see. Thank you.
So what question from the property owner side, is there a cost for them to register their property onto the platform, or how does that work?
No, that anything to do with fraud and protection and just downloading the wallet, that's all free to the constituent.
That's great. That's great. So, Michelle, did you have any questions?
Let's see. So many questions.
Yes.
Well, I mean, obviously the Doc AI product with the integration into the different county or state system, because Maryland, we have the same system across the state in all of the recorders' offices. They may be tweaked a little bit differently, because of regional type of things. Jumping in at a pre-recording spot within the process is very interesting. Because currently the Maryland clerks don't have a land record notification system in place, right? Because of our partnership with the Maryland State Archives, they, house our records. They are, 100-year storage, kind of thing over there. And so we're trying to work on thinking a little bit, ahead, like the Doc AI product. One thing that really interests me about that is the indexing of the entire document for searching purposes. Like you say, today it's very, 1980s searching. They've introduced some fuzzy logic. Maryland State Archives just released a new version of MD Land Rec this past week for searching. It's getting some mixed reviews. So we're just trying to get an idea of, kind of what people think about that. But as indexing practices change over the years, it wreaks havoc, with the people that use the data, right? Because they lose their ability to understand how to search and find what they're looking for. We just had someone call today and say, hey, we can't find our stuff. We know it's there. But because, let's say, searching on LLC, L space, C space, right? Well, there's different indexing rules in play locally at each clerk's office, even though we use the same tools. We don't input the data the same way, right? So you don't get the same results. So we're trying to figure out moving forward how we can take advantage of future technology or the technology that's here for the future, like AI, that would allow us to take that data and put it into a way where we're indexing the entire document so that we can kind of have some consistency,
Exactly.
for the public.
Yeah.
Because some of our ways and our technology is older, right? And we have to start thinking about what the future is going to require. The whole blockchain component for property rights and securing one of the most important components in a person's life, potentially, is going to be their property, right? That's what this country's been built on, and most other countries don't have the systems that we have, and so we're lucky that way. But we need to have a way to secure those. Okay. So just some of what you were talking about, Christina, on whether it be fee calculations, redactions, a lot of the pre-recording, pre-indexing components, and that back and forth with the customer, right? Because what happens is a lot of times people go and they'll buy a property and they may not be up to speed on what that really means. They know money goes out of the bank and they get a piece of paper, but they don't really know what that means. So they don't know when they get introduced to the process, okay, or into the flow, that they would have a responsibility to respond in order to get their stuff on record. So it could become very complicated very quickly. So those are just things with, just general information dealing with the public at the volume that we deal with the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we would have safeguards for all of that. We wouldn't require the homeowner to respond. There might be a point in time where they become more educated, but at this point, it's purely informational. Even if the homeowner doesn't respond in a timely manner, the recording is going to go through anyways. It's still going to get recorded in the normal process. This is the first step towards educating more and getting their homeowners more engaged and learning a little bit more about the whole process, and then protecting the property.
Right. And with the clerk's of court being the land record, owner of record, basically, whether there needs to be modifications to records whether they're, there's some of that is a little bit disjointed now
Mm.
between, us and MSA and trying to figure out,
Oh, yeah.
the flow of the records. It goes one way, not the other way, all those types of things. There's definitely room for improvement. But I definitely think that one thing that Tanner had mentioned, from a searching standpoint, right? There's a whole community out there, part of land title and everything else, where people are doing searching, trying to find documents. And unless you know exactly how it's indexed, you're not going to be able to find it. And, that is the biggest frustrating thing for me. I come from the GIS world. My degree is in cartography and urban planning, so, and I've been doing this stuff for a long time. So it just, to me, I'm like, there's so much that we could do. There's just so much that we could do.
Yeah.
Not enough time or money, but if we could take advantage of technology, so that's kind of why I wanted to jump on today. Because I just wanted to kind of see what was this all about. I had never heard about the Maryland Blockchain Association. Just what's it all about? What is everybody talking about? Getting out there in the community, just trying to figure things out.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you there. I think that what I've seen is that everybody has wanted to take on a reindexing project, but it was so expensive and it was going to take forever for them to be able to do this. So adopting a new technology to get that price right down and get the speed of the indexing up means that we can kind of move these records into modern day. We can do the same thing now that what banks can do or what hospitals can do. We just need to upgrade the technology a little bit so we can be on par with any of this data that you're trying to access.
In some of the things that you've done for some of the other counties or some of the other states or some of the other countries, are you doing the Doc AI product for the indexing on the fly when a document is found, or is it all done up front? How are you implementing that?
We do both. So once we're integrated in, you can do your historicals, and we do daily new recordings as well. So a recording comes in through Simplifile, comes to us. We capture it in that queue that you saw. We do the indexing, recordability, fee calculation, and then we push it into your state system of record that you guys have.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's both ways. We do historicals as well as the new recordings, and they happen instantly.
And so if that indexing component is kind of taken out, then is it a double, like, verify more on the quality assurance component of it to say, yes, we have a 90% hit, or we have a, you know what I mean? Like, who is looking at the original document and then how it was captured from the technology?
Your office is the one that's doing the final review of the document. So we do like 80% of the work, but we still need the experts to come in and say, yep, this all checks out. And then we put the stamp of approval on it.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so it's definitely a partnership. AI by no means is perfect. And especially for something as important as official records, you have to make sure that everything is done properly and accurately. So it does require that a person still be there. So AI is not really replacing anyone anytime soon anyways.
Mm-hmm. Where have you implemented this technology in a production environment?
Yeah, so we're in Utah, we're in Ohio, we're in Baltimore City, actually. We're doing a historical project with them right now to find all the racially restrictive covenants for vacant properties and in different neighborhoods. They're trying to, actually, I can show you. That's actually really cool too.
So you're using, because they have blocks and lots.
Because they
Right.
have block, what do you mean?
They have a block and lot structure
Yeah.
for their.
So we just take information from the document. If the document, regardless of whether it's a block and lot structure, this might make it a little bit more clear for you. Let me show you. Where are you? Here you are. Share. I believe this is Baltimore City. So they've given us something like 200,000 documents from a certain neighborhood. And when we go We've processed the document. We've indexed the document. These are going all the way back to 1922. So these are very old records. And then we're locating the racially restrictive covenants in that said lot building and thereon shall never be rented, leased, sold, transferred, or conveyed, blah, 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 blah.
Any Negro or colored person, or persons of Negro blood descent. Okay.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's quite a bit.
Interesting. So they're using it specifically for a special project.
They're using this specifically for a special project, but we are in that's Baltimore City, but I'm actually integrated with the land record systems in Utah and Missouri and Ohio.
But they also, if you want to stop sharing screen, I'll show the Maryland Blockchain Association website, because also on the Maryland Blockchain Association, kind of share with you here. And our focus is on educating on all the innovative tech. So, but if you scroll down to the very bottom, you just to kind of piggyback onto what you've shared, Christina.
Oh yeah, sorry. We did build a land record system, a blockchain land record system for the city of Baltimore. Actually, it would be,
And if you here, the platform can be found here. So we have the press release and on here. And so again, it's showing, you can search the properties within. So you're doing multiple type of projects and so I wanted to make sure that you also, Michelle, knew about this as well.
Yeah, we did. So this was actually a very early day project for us when we were exploring. The city solicitor of the city of Baltimore wanted to explore how records on the blockchain would be able to help her redevelop all of those vacant properties. I can help you out here, Jackie. I can share actually. I know how to.
Yeah, I'll let you share so that way you can extend on this.
Yep, give me 1 second. Help her redevelop those vacant and abandoned properties that they
So
have.
it's a land record system in Baltimore City that you had said.
Yeah,
So
but it's running in parallel to their own land record system, though.
And is that with the clerk's office or with the treasurer's office or?
That is a good question. We're actually working with the Department of Housing to do this.
Okay, so that's Department of Housing. So
Yep. Because the project was specifically for the vacant and abandoned properties. And they're trying to find a way to bring reinvestment and development into those vacant properties. So you have each of the properties, and then we've actually been able to link each of the instrument types to one property. So you could just search one property, and we've done the chaining of all those documents together. So a better search experience overall.
So there's a variety of things that you can do with the technology, again, from again putting the deeds on the chain to what Christine was talking about in terms of the API integration from the AI perspective and the searching.
Yeah, and I see Maryland Estat, Flats, and some other linked.
Yep, we got them all linked together from Department of Housing.
Information.
They were looking for like a one-stop shop for this type of information, just specifically for these vacant properties.
And how long have you been working on this project?
This one that you're seeing with the vacant properties, that was completed a year ago. And then the racially restrictive covenants project, we just finished the second phase of that last week. So we did a search of the vacant properties in the abandoned and vacant areas. And then they asked us to go and scan documents in the more, how do you say, like wealthier neighborhoods. They were trying to see the difference between what was recorded for those wealthier neighborhoods and the ones that had been abandoned.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much information, you know what I mean? It's so much history.
So much.
And, that's the cool thing about land records just in general, but, it's kind of what keeps our country moving and, it's really, really important. And, that's one thing that I'm hoping that we will just, as a clerk, or whatever, look at being able to, over the next, however many years, hopefully, look at, transforming our systems, um, you know, by implementing additional technology. But it's going to take a little time, to do that, and just educate people on what the benefits are, and what it can do, and understand what the security risks
Yeah.
and, all those types of things, right? Because it's both sides. It's what the good is and what the bad is. Um,
Totally. I think that was taken into consideration. Okay, if we show more data now, does that make everything become a bigger risk? They are public records, so the information is available. We're trying to, do better redactions on certain PII, so that's why we included it into Doc AI. And I think where we're moving to is hopefully that homeowner with a little bit of education, they'd be able to be the ones that takes better ownership over those records. So if I've chained together all of those records from 1817 North Monroe that I just showed you, the homeowner is claiming all of those records and they're saying, okay, I'm going to sell my house. So now I'm going to share that information with the title company or something like that, whoever needs to be involved for that process to happen. But I think we're a ways away from that, but we'll be moving in that type of direction. Better security, basically.
And
mhm.
I want to piggyback on what you shared, Christina. The purpose of the Maryland Blockchain Association, and my background's law, but also education, is to help support consumers and to understand what the technology is about, and also entrepreneurs and others who are within our community, so that way they can use the technology or integrate it in a way that makes their quality of life better. So, again, with the land records side, obviously it takes a different type of partnership, but then on the consumer education side, that's where we would step in to help different events to let consumers know that, or property owners know, okay, this is what's happening and this is, the benefits of participating, so again, there's always a public-private partnership layer that happens, and it happens fast, but it also happens slow. So it's ongoing.
So are you hearing, from your interaction out in the community, are you hearing, um, that people are interested in this, they're looking for ways
Everybody.
to better, I mean, obviously title fraud is a huge deal, right? And people don't want to one day have somebody show up starting to move into their house because they don't own their house anymore. Like that's the biggest fear ever, right? Obviously we're seeing that a lot with, resort towns and vacant, or, properties that don't have mortgages on them, and, different things like that. But, I just don't know if it's like a slow rolling thing or it's really starting to take, people are just really have an interest in it. I'm trying to gauge what the community out there is looking at. Is it lukewarm? Is it really hot? Like, where are we?
The community for my part, ever since I started doing this, people start telling me all of their stories about defraud and what's been happening. But I mean, that's a select few of people. The general public, I think, won't really know or even understand why this is important until it becomes a fear that they have. So, we need to have the right education. The customers that I deal with are the clerks. So the clerks have a good understanding of how much this is happening. So where I'm working, they're saying, hey, we're going to get the clerk out there on Facebook and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to start educating people and telling them to download this mobile wallet so that they can have better, I guess, surveillance over the records that are coming in on their property. But it will all come in stages.
But as a product or a project being made available for a particular location of somebody you're working with, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
So the wallet's not live, just Doc AI is live.
But in answer to your question, I think that there are many individuals across the country who are very interested in technology developments. So from that perspective, they are very curious about how to integrate that into their lives. And on the real estate side, there internationally, this has been part of the conversation. So different states have been more proactive in terms of how they're integrating this. But there are pockets within every state of individuals who are also proactive, who are looking at how do we integrate this technology into various pieces, whether it's the real estate side, the healthcare side, or whatever. The businesses are looking at how do we protect information? How do we make the information transfer faster and more cost effective? And that's what technology like blockchain does. So, again, we can have many cars. We don't always know the engines in the cars. So, and the consumers will, again, they just want to know that, like you said, that their house is secure. So the actual technology that the recorder's office uses, they might not, really care or understand about that, but they just want to make sure that their information's correct. And so that's why this is being looked at. And I know in Maryland, we want to make sure that all of the recorder offices understand this is definitely something to start to integrate, because it is secure and it's where the technology is going. So.
So where do you think is the most forward-thinking state related to land records?
I can tell you. It's been Utah and Florida.
Yeah.
I know Florida has a huge
Fraud problem.
yeah, huge.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have 1 million people in the county, that's just wow, that's a lot. So, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well,
For Doc AI, though, it'll be my customers are all the largest counties in the United States. When you start getting to the smaller counties, they don't really have a throughput issue. They're doing just fine doing the daily recordings that they have coming in. It's when I'm in the million plus population, that's where they're trying to make things a little bit more efficient.
so that's where the value of what you're saying and why people are coming to you is for a throughput solution to help expedite the processing of this information. Is
For
that
the
kind of what you're primarily seeing?
For the Doc AI side, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it'll be the larger counties too. But in terms of what the more popular item is out of the wallet in Doc AI, it's the wallet. Everybody's waiting for the wallet. They say the way things done yesterday cannot be the way the same things are going to be done tomorrow, because nobody knows who's at fault. The clerk, they have to record, and then by the time the homeowner,
If it meets our guidelines, check,
Yep.
check, it's got to go on record.
100%.
I mean, that's,
yeah.
and we have to
So
let people know, even if we had a notification system, we're calling it a notification system, not a fraud prevention system, because it doesn't prevent fraud. It has happened by the time it gets to us.
yeah. So some counties are looking at it differently. They're saying it didn't get to you because you didn't put your stamp on it yet. I got it first and I sent it to the homeowner to flag it. So it's the homeowner that's actually the one that's rejecting it and not the clerk that's rejecting it.
Interesting. Well, that sounds like some changes in legislation for us, but
Yeah, and it totally might be. Yeah, there's definitely like Utah is one of those more forward-thinking ones that they're ready to jump on it, but there's many states that are like, this is going to take a lot longer. We're going to have to go through some legislative changes and things like that.
so are you working with a couple counties in Utah, or the state is in total?
No, I'm working with about 7 counties in Utah right now.
How many do they have?
Well, let me do a little Google.
Probably like 200?
No way.
Like that. I mean, Maryland's pretty small. We only have 24 jurisdictions, 23 counties in Baltimore City.
29 counties in Utah.
29, okay.
Yep. And then aside from that, like we have Miami-Dade, we're just signed a pilot with Chicago, what do you call that? Cook County, second largest county in America. We work with Hamilton County, Ohio, Cincinnati. And then on my pipeline, I'm waiting for a few other larger ones that I won't say until I get the contract signed.
There you go. Okay, well, no, interesting, but but I appreciate the invite. I am kind of the one more interested in, from the clerks
Yeah.
as a whole. We have the Maryland Clerks Association, and I'm taking over as president January 1st.
Oh, wow.
So I am just, trying to take a look at some things, figure some things out, and just be a little bit forward thinking and try to educate myself a little bit.
Yeah, do a whole industry, research. See who's applying which technology to do what. There's a difference between having a legacy system that uses AI to kind of like speed things up, and there's a difference for a fully AI system. The quality of data that you get out of it is going to be different from both ends. But I totally recommend do a full thorough research on every other opportunity that's out there.
Yeah, and we have a number of clerks and myself that are, involved with PRIA and, that type of thing. So we'll be planning on being at PRIA, the next PRIA. There's
Perfect.
like a handful of us clerks that are going to be there.
Awesome.
So I think it'll be good. So it'll be interesting to step through.
Yeah. I'll be there. So if I see you, then we can link up and I can meet some of your other clerks.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, but I appreciate this. And Jacqueline, that is you're Jacqueline, correct? Okay. It just says JC, so I didn't.
I know. I have a lot of different names, so JC is easier.
I gotcha. So, but yeah, no, I appreciate the invite, to listen in.
Perfect. Hope it was helpful.
Appreciate your being on, and we'll definitely be back in contact so that way we can answer any more questions that you might have.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Everyone.
Bye, guys.